lawn sprinkler system for residential use or uses or commercial applications, some commercial applications. There may be a sundry of different types of heads. For instance, there may be oscillating heads, as we sprinkler heads, as we can see here. There may be pop-up heads, and the pop-up heads may be for an area. Say one may have a 3, 6, 8 foot swath of grass, say beside the driveway or in a particular area, and need to install the pop-up heads, being that these may throw a farther distance. Hence, one may have to use the pop-up head, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. They're both quality. Or there may be the drip line in the natural area, etc. But what is an oscillating head? An oscillating sprinkler head is a head that can, generally speaking, be adjusted from 0 to 360 degrees and anywhere in between. So 0 being the standard and 360 degrees being the max. So one has the latitude to adjust the sprinkler system, this particular sprinkler head, in any way. So the question, when we look at an oscillating head goes, it rotates around, generally speaking. So the question, what would the inside of an oscillating sprinkler head look like? We're looking at the inside of the sprinkler head here. This being the top, this being the guts on the inside, along with the spring, this being the housing. And as one notes, underneath the housing, there's a 3/4 inch female thread. So again, 3/4 inch. Keep in mind the pop-up heads, many pop-up heads have a 1/2 inch thread. So this is 3/4. When we look down from this end, it's simply an open shell. So the water simply comes up from the bottom. It comes up from the bottom. Now here's where I'm impressed with whoever came up with this idea. And again, it's not rocket science, but I guess one could use an analogy, something like a car, a piston or something. The head's in a piston where it drives it up. So this would sit inside of here. This has female threads around here. The female threads would screw on to these threads here. So screw it on just tight enough where it doesn't leak. What happens is when the water pressure comes up, the water pressure will actually push this up. And in the middle here, the head will protrude up and come up, and then it will begin to spray, providing that the head is in good quality condition, so it's in a workable condition, meaning that it's not filled with dirt, grit, grime, etc. So one thing to take note here. So this pushes this up. This compresses this spring. Okay, this spring is compressed while the water is on. So the water pressure is driving up. This is inside of here, and the water pressure is driving this up and spraying out through the yard. So one may ask, well, after the cycle on this particular zone, well, how does the head retract back in the ground so somebody doesn't run over it with a lawnmower, weed eater, etc.? This is where this spring comes in. This spring actually, once the pressure drives it and it no longer has the pressure pushing it up, the spring expands like so, and the head collapses. And the head is actually in here because the head is collapsed now once the spring. So now do take note of this spring. We looked at the spring in the pop-up head, and as one notes here, this is looks like it's a heavier gauge metal than the pop-up. So this may take a little bit more pressure to drive this head. So again, it may take a little bit more pressure. So, but the water pressure, this goes inside of this cup here. The water comes in here from the bottom, pushes this up, drives it up, compresses the spring. So it tells you that the water pressure has to be somewhat strong in order to get the spring compressed. And then this head comes out, waters the yard. After it's finished, water pressure dies, spring opens up again, and when the spring opens up, it pulls this back down. So that's how an oscillating sprinkler head works. It's fairly simple, but it's a good idea. And also, I wonder how many case studies one had to do to figure out how much pressure it needs to push this up and to push this back down with the spring to know how much alloy is in the metal. That would be interesting to know. If anybody knows the answer to that, so I'm sure it would be interesting to find out. But I wonder how many different tries it took to get the exact science here. So, but anyway, notwithstanding, this is how an oscillating sprinkler system works. This goes inside of here. Water comes up from the bottom, pushes this up, pushes the head out, waters the yard. After the zone cuts off, spring opens and this pulls down, and that's how it's done. Thank you for watching and have a great day.